Module 6, Charting with Excel. So you might have heard of this software, Microsoft Excel. Many of you are users of Microsoft Excel as well. So this video will summarize how to generate very simple graphs and what are the different chart types available in Excel and so on. It's a very brief introduction to it, and a more example with we can also make some charts by screencasting that will also be added on to this this week's content. So please have a look for that video as well. It's coming up after this. So first of all, the chart and graphs are, what is the difference here? Sometimes it's also called plot. These are all interchangeably used. So these terms are all same thing. It's nothing but visual representation of the data. So in past, charts were drawn on the the graph paper manually. So that is why we used to call it as a chart. So on the chart paper or a graph paper we used to draw it. But these days almost uniformly everybody draw these charts or plots or graphs on the computer with application known as spreadsheet applications. So what is a spreadsheet applications? These are nothing but an application or an executable file, that a computer program that allows the user to enter the numerical or alphanumerical in the so-called cell. So for example, the Microsoft Word, right? So when you open the Microsoft Word, a blank page is displayed, a page that is exactly like A4 sheet or the letter, whatever the size of the page that you choose from. But in the Excel, the situation is different. So in the Excel, it's only the cells are presented and there is no actually format of a page, like a format is not displayed default in it. So these cells are where you actually enter the numbers. So you can modify this number, you can do a lot of calculations with that number, or you can do statistical test on it, and also you can generate the graphs with this Microsoft Excel. So this Excel is one example of the spreadsheet application. There are several of it. So one example is Microsoft Excel. I told you GraphPad Prism is yet another excellent software, especially good for the biologists and science students, because GraphPad Prism can speed up a lot of your the works, and it supports more advanced statistical operations as well. Google Spreadsheet, which is free option. LibreOffice is another free option if you don't want to pay for it. Both are quite good, but it doesn't have a lot of applications like statistical support is extremely limited in the case of Google Spreadsheet or also for LibreOffice. In the case of Microsoft Excel as well, only the basic statistical operations you can do and basic charting you can do with Excel. If you want to go for more advanced, go with GraphPad Prism. Both Excel and GraphPad Prisms are not free. You have to pay for it, though it is not extremely expensive softwares. So these applications allow the user to perform numerical calculations such as simple arithmetics to complex statistical tests such as ANOVA. All these you can do with different kind of statistical spreadsheet applications. Spreadsheet applications also allow the user to visually summarize and inspect the data by creating the chart. So charting is one advantage of all these spreadsheet applications. So how do you chart in the Excel? That is what this module is all about. So to chart in Excel, the first point is that you have to enter the data. So you can enter it in the spreadsheet. So you have a data to be charted, so definitely it will be in a tabular form, right? So this table, you have to enter the table with a header and properly formatted table in the spreadsheet application main window. So once you do that, for example, we have in this screenshot, you can see that there are actually A through G, there are multiple categories there. There are 7 groups in it, and each group have got different numbers in it. So the values are different. So all you have to do is that you have to click the insert on the top and click a chart icon. So then it will be showing you the recommended chart types based upon the data that we have, and you can either choose the recommended chart type, or you can go with more options and choose whatever the chart that you would like to insert in. So to insert a graph is just a matter of few clicks, and that's it. Anybody can do it. It's actually very, very simple. So first step is to enter the data into the spreadsheet manually. So you have to manually enter the data, and the next step is insert charts, recommended charts. So that's it. You have to click on the insert tab of the menu bar and then click on the charts and finally recommended charts. So as this data is a time series, line chart is more appropriate. So, what is that data all about? The earlier data is the change in literacy rate in India over time. So, this is real data taken from the census of India, so for the last 100 years. So, how the data changes over the time, right. So, this is a time series. So, of course, its x axis is the time or the years, while y axis will say the literacy rate over these years. So, this is a time series. So, definitely a line chart is better, or xy with these dots joined with the line. So, that is more appropriate. So, you can really see the data points in on the line. So, deciding which graph or chart type is done as per the individual preference, but based on the type of data and the information that need to be conveyed. For example, the same the data about the literacy rate you can also present as a bar chart, but the bar chart is quite meaningless. It does not actually convey the ups and downs. So, to convey the ups and downs or the peaks and dips, then definitely a line chart is more preferred. So, it is a lot more beneficial to go with a line chart or an XY plot. Once you have a chart, you can change the chart type also. Just click on that one chart or the graph that you generated and go with the same icon, the chart type icon, and then you can go with that. So, clicking again the chart menu would lead to change chart type dialog box, from where you can change the chart. For example, if you have that A through G different groups, you can go with the pie chart first, then click on the pie chart and click on the column chart, then the pie will be automatically converted into the column chart. So, it is actually very simple to convert these kind of things. So, the literacy data that I have presented you earlier, you can generate one XY scatter with smooth lines and markers. That is one of the option in the chart menu, XY scatter with smooth lines and markers. So, if you do that, you will be getting this kind of data, you can generate this kind of the graph, which is very good to convey. As according to my perception, this is the best graph for the literacy graphs data. You can also add the error bar into it. So, more on error bar in one of our next modules. So, we will be discussing that in length, but error bar is added to convey the uncertainties in our data, or the scatter in the data. For example, standard deviation is an error bar. It plots the variability or the scatter in the data sets, the elements of our data set. So, what is the scatter is being plotted by the standard deviation. So, standard deviation is one example of the error bar, or range is another example of the error bar. So, how do you add the error bar? So, to add an error bar, you have to do that manually. Microsoft Excel cannot calculate group wise standard deviation and add on to it automatically, but GraphPad Prism can do this work excellently. So, a lot preferable there. Prism is a lot better than Excel for plotting the error bars. So, to add an error bar like the standard deviation, first we have to do is to enter the data into the spreadsheet. So, for example, you can see on the screen there is a third column that I added, that is actually the standard deviation. So, I have to actually manually add the standard deviations to each of these data. So, as you know, the standard deviation depends on the n. So, n can also be added, but that is not required, but standard deviation is required here. Then once the graph is created, once you have the graph with you, that is actually nothing but xy, the line graph with the smoothed points, right. So, click on the graph, then add chart element option from the design tab. So, there will be a new tab coming up on the extreme right side of the Excel main window, that is called design tab, and from there you have to add chart element. So, you have to click on that menu over there. Then once you click it, you have to choose error bar and click on the error bar, then click again more error bar options. Then a screen will be presented like what you can see it on the screen here, the screenshot. So, on that you have to choose both side and manually you have to enter it, and then we have to choose the custom under the error amount and click the specify value radio button. So, in the next dialog window, we have to highlight the first value of the standard deviation, the smallest value to the first value till the last value. You have to drag till all these values of the standard deviation to highlight all these one, then add it, adding these the custom error value will produce an error bar with the standard deviation. So, it is actually multi-step process. So, well, it is workable, it is not that complicated, but you just have to custom yourself. So, I highly recommend you to watch the screencast, the recorded screen how I did it, so that you can also do the same thing with the practice files that is available in the course website. So, I suggest you to watch that screencast as well and practice it with the practice file. So, be accustom yourself with adding the error bars into these kind of graphs. So, it is not merely for the line plot, you can also add the error bar for the column or bar graph, I mean any kind of graph, XY scatter plot also you can add error bars in it. So, you can choose all different kinds of things. So, you can also add from the add chart element, you can also add the chart title and X axis and Y axis labels. So, all these labels you can add in, all these elements you can manually add it by edit. If you have something already added, you can edit it also through that same menu, that is called add chart element from the design tab. So, in summary, spreadsheet applications are the backbone of a computational data analysis. Such programs are commonly used to summarize the data and perform the basic statistical operations and tests. Microsoft Excel is one such spreadsheet application, though it is proprietary in nature. Excel enables its users to do basic charting and perform basic statistical operations. As learned in earlier module, there are various types of charts available at our disposal. Choosing the appropriate chart type oftentimes depends upon that kind of data, its measurement level and what needs to be summarized, such that the visual representation is optimally achieved. In Excel, there are different chart types. Drawing the chart is as simple as just clicking few buttons. To draw any chart, the data needs to be entered into the spreadsheet cell manually, then choose the chart and click whatever the chart would you like to go with, or you go with the recommended chart types. Various chart elements can be added to the created chart, such as axis titles and error bars. These can be done at Design tab under the Chart Tools main menu. I hope you enjoyed this module, and as I told you earlier, please watch the screencast, the screen recorded video of adding these different error bars and charts, generating charts in Microsoft Excel, and also please practice with the practice files. I also suggest you to please go with the discussion forums and post any of your questions in that forum, and answer what others are posting in the discussion forum, and make it more lively and interactive in nature. Thank you.